Hello and welcome to another video. Today with an update on my Blackflame Fireball Bloodmage starter build for Path of Exile 2, the third Edict. So far it has been an amazing, exquisite experience and a joy to play, featuring really solid damage and a good clear throughout the whole campaign without the need for any uniques. During the past day I have gradually exported my character and updated my Mobalytics guide with different steps I wanted to showcase, including commentary and more. In case you missed it, no worries, I have it on video and in written form anyway. So specifics like how I progressed and what to look out for during the adventure will be provided to you now. The build itself is a 2 to 3 button experience, depending on if you count Despair as a curse, also as a button. Sometimes for rares and bosses you will press this button, otherwise you don't. Snap is also something you press very rarely. Usually you just alternate between Living Bomb and Fireball to chunk targets with a ton of purple projectiles. They also fixed Bloodmage and it's a ton of fun to play now with a gigaton of sustain, so you will never die. Well, except when you do, because I will advise you to use all of your life to deal more damage. But enough about that. Let's have a look at the juice. Don't forget to leave a like, comment and sub, and let's go. Now, there is a lot of commentary and text here. Currently, there you can see the Act 1 end, start Act 3, end Act 4, and the planned build. The planned build is what I showcased in my, planned. And Act 1, 3, and 4 are the exports of my character at this specific point. All with commentary, gen setups, and the skill tree down below here. While I'll talk, I will be showing a little bit of gameplay. So during Act 1, I was starting to level as a Spark character, because I wanted to test the infusions and it was amazing. Spark with the infusion is an absolute blast to play during the first levels. Later on you unlock Living Bomb and Fireball and you basically immediately start blasting. I completely wrecked Act 1. It is very overtuned for that specific part of the game, especially if you get a +2 on your staff. In a specific scenario I had a fire damage as extra lightning and +2 levels to fire spells staff found with the Firebolt skill granted to me. So I had something to use without mana. I could have ran around naked and I would have beaten this act without sweat. I also found some boots with a little bit of movement speed on them, and that's about it. The most important thing here to note of is the Sapphire Charm, which I used for the last boss of the act to tank hits. He still hits very hard, so you have to be careful there. But you will be able to nuke him and potentially force him through the phases very fast. In my second hand, I had a Solar Orb setup, a level 16 staff. This one helped me greatly in the first act boss. It's passive damage throughout the whole fight, and you can concentrate on dodging with this one. So you just cast your Living Bomb on the target and the Solar Orb, and it will be enough to trigger the Living Bomb and deal a ton of damage while continuously burning him. As for the skill setup, down below here, Spark, Frost Bomb and Flame Wall was my bread and butter during the early levels. Later on, Living Bomb as well as Fireball. You will be very happy with this setup. For the supports, Living Bomb, Magnified Area 1 and Overabundance. So you have 2 charges of Living Bomb, so you can generate 2 fire infusions constantly. So you have fire infusions for your Fireball. Now Magnified Area 1 will increase the area by 35%. This is a substantial buff to your AoE with Living Bomb, because this will be your clear during the early levels, since you cannot generate this much damage in the AoE scenario with just the Fireball spell. Later on this will change drastically. For Fireball I was playing Rapid Casting 1 with Controlled Destruction. We don't scale crit early on with the Fireball spell. It has a 7% crit chance, so we can easily slot in Controlled Destruction and benefit from this support gem. And for Solar Orb, Controlled Destruction and Overabundance, so you can have 2 Solar Orbs out at the same time. For the other spells you can just juggle those around. So for Spark I had Rapid Casting as well as Controlled Destruction, which I used for other spells, as you can see here. Those are highlighted right here, so you can see I just changed those to Fireball and didn't use up additional supports. For the skill tree, you can just beeline the damage nodes up to Potent Incantation, which is around 160% spell damage in total. Just from those nodes, it's 96 until here, and then additionally 60 here. For sustain, mana, as well as life recovery through remnants. Remnants are the infusions defined by the game. Later on, the Bloodmage will also have remnants. There's also count for this one, so you generate maximum mana as well as maximum life, picking those up. Something I want to mention here, harmonic remnants can be slotted in Living Bomb and Frost Bomb to get more distance between picking up the remnant and yourself. During the early game, I was constantly hugging enemies because I didn't know this support existed. Once I had this one slotted in, I never want to go back. It's amazing. You basically don't need to be in melee range all the time with this one, especially with the additional nodes you pick up here. So it's additionally 20% distance. And later on, you get Siphon Element spell, which also provides you with distance, pickup radius. Now this sums up the early game. Then in Act 2 and Act 3, we are now going to look into gear a little bit more, because you need to look at resistances, lightning resistance, fire and cold resistance during the whole act. You want to have enough life, you want to have movement speed on your boots, you want to upgrade your staff if possible to a +3 fire spell staff. In this case, I was very lucky and got one here. The spell damage here is okay. I would have preferred this one to be much higher. You can also find the Sire of Shards, as other content creators did. However, this one is extremely expensive now, with 1 to 2 divines just for the staff, so I would not advise you to look for this one. Maybe if you can get a good deal on this one. In Act 4, for example, I got a very good deal on the Seed of Cataclysm with just 1 Exalt instead of 1 Divine, so you can most likely now find also a good deal for the Sire of Shards. It is also something that is used in the end game, so be careful with that. I now also slotted in a charm for Frozen. So when I get Frozen, I immediately just recover from Frozen and are not losing control of my character. Later on, you can also find a Stone charm, which will do the same for Stunned, so you don't lose control over your character and prevent dying. You need to take care of your attributes. Strength, Dexterity, Intelligence on your gear is the most efficient way here, since we are stacking a ton of just flat damage and bonuses in the tree that is not from traveling. So you're going to miss attributes here because you want to pick up the chaos damage here. You want to pick up the curse magnitude. You want to pick up everlasting infusion and empowering infusion for more damage and just keeping all your infusions. And later on, you also want the Blackflame Covenant keystone. You will immediately see a benefit in your damage once you pick this keystone, because we are pathing through chaos damage here, but also because chaos damage deals double damage to ES. And most enemies in the game have less chaos resistance than fire resistance. There are exceptions to this rule. For example, sometimes you will find a rare monster with resistant to chaos damage, then you will deal very little damage. But for this one, you have the spare. You can lower the resistances by a huge amount with this one. Keep in mind, it is scaled down for rare monsters, for mini bosses, and for major bosses. So you won't see the full benefit of the spare here, just a tiny amount, but it will help greatly to multiply your damage. With Withering Presence, your Spirit Gem, now it will also come into play. Wither is an effect that increases the chaos damage a target takes, which means it's a more multiplier on all your damage. Additionally to this one, since we are not nuking enemies in just 1 second, this one will stack and ramp up throughout the fight to like 25 stacks, maybe 30 stacks. So basically just increasing the damage by 30% or by 25%. It's a really, really potent aura that will give you a huge benefit to your damage. Now for the skills, you want to just look into different things here that will boost your damage substantially. Solar Orb is going to be a very potent spell throughout the leveling process in Act 2 if you find a staff with a good level 2 Solar Orb. Otherwise, Firebolt is also fine. So Fireball, we are now using Considered Casting for 35% more damage. Extraction, but only if you already ascended to Bloodmage. Extraction will sacrifice 10% of your life. This needs to be compensated. If you're not a Bloodmage, you won't be able to compensate this one, and this will kill you. And Unleash. Unleash, restore your Fireball. We need to generate infusions anyway. We need to set up with Living Bomb, so we will store our cast of Fireball and then unleash everything at once. Each specific stored cast will consume a stack of Unleash and then fire a Fireball with the infusion. Now, instead of extraction, you can use controlled destruction. It will give you a benefit anyway, because Fireball, as I already mentioned, has only a 7% critical strike chance here. So you don't necessarily need to crit and benefit from this one yet, because we don't pick up the Bloodmage increase to crit strike chance until mid or late Act 3. Then we swap out to extraction anyway. On your despair, you want rapid casting. You can also pick up other things like, for example, efficiency, which reduces your spell cost by 30% at rank 1 and rank 2 40%. Heightened curse, which can also be accessed right with support gems level 1, 25% increased magnitude. Both powerful, but not necessarily needed if you don't have the spare support. For Living Bomb, Harmonic Remnants 2, a major pickup here, 20% chance to create an additional remnant, so you always have a surplus on Living Bomb with this one. And Overabundance, really important to always have on the spell, so you have 2 Living Bombs constantly up, because you need multiple stacks of your infusions on you while you have Unleash, otherwise your Fireball won't have enough infusions to work with. And Snap is only here with considered casting and Harmonic Remnants. Additionally, if you want to generate additional infusions. And for Life Remnant, Harmonic Remnants and Remnant Potency, so you overheal much better. And with more remnants, you will have enough buffer on your health so you can use your extraction support. Now for the tree, as mentioned before, we are going to now use a weapon swap. So your main hand weapon with basically all your damage dealing spells will have this cluster here. We don't need this one for the curse, so we just drop those and then pick up zone control here with our second weapon. On your second weapon, for the curse specifically, you want to have cast speed on the staff. I specifically still use the same staff even now with 23% increased cast speed. So everything goes like boop, and it's done. The gameplay for this one is very smooth, as you can see in the clip right here. You basically nuke enemies. Later on in Act 3, you will struggle a tiny amount, not because enemies are going to just destroy you, but because you sometimes get overwhelmed. You won't have the capacity to AoE them yet, because you're not used to their playstyle yet. You won't generate enough infusions. You're missing some pieces, tiny amounts of infusions that would be necessary to generate all of that AoE. In Act 4, this will change drastically. Once we move to Act 4, we will now have access to a very specific support, the Wild Shard support. Currently, it is very easy to get a +4 gem. It only costs around 10 exalts, which drop constantly throughout Act 3 and even Act 2. Grab this one from other players. If you're solo self-found, it will be harder, but there should be one at least, I think, in the chapters after the 4th act. I haven't checked this one yet, but I heard about this one. So you will be able to slot in Wild Shards. Wild Shard is a support that has a 20% chance to fire 8 additional projectiles in a cycle. This will nuke the whole screen. Everything will be cleared. Later on, you will have a 25% chance with the Wild Shards 2, but this one is later in the game. For now, Wild Shards 1 is enough. You want to slot this one in additionally to all the supports you already had for damage, and then you will have a really good clear, especially with Living Bomb, and Living Bomb will also get here considered casting. Considered casting is more damage. We can also slot in another slot here, and we can get here additional area or even just support-based abilities like a pin on enemies so they don't move. For the spare, we are fixing this one with rapid casting, efficiency 2, and heightened curse. And this is your bread and butter combo. So you will use those 3 spells for basically everything. See a rare mob, despair, living bomb, fireball. On repeat. Well, except despair you don't need to constantly reapply. Every 3rd combo, 4th combo, you should reapply it if the enemy is not dead. Now let's have a look at the gear, because the gear is a little bit more spicy now. In the main hand, I managed to grab something with extra lightning. Now the extra lightning has a meaning, especially now. Before that, you didn't deal just enough damage to apply a shock with this one. But since we are only converting fire damage and not the lightning damage, we can, with 20% additionally here, and with 6% slotted in the lesser storm rune, we get to around 26-25%. of our damage, we can now generate a 20% shock on the enemy, which is 20% more damage. This is amazing for the build. It's a nice addition, and I would highly advise you to always go for damage as extra lightning here. The second best one is cold damage, which is also not converted, so you will apply a chill on enemies and make them slower. This is a nice addition to the defensive side of this build, because we are damage. There is no defense here. This means we need to take care of our maximum life. We need to take care of resistances for the Ember Amulet. So you want a Strength Amulet? Well, actually, yes, you're going to miss out a little bit on Strength. Strength is health, so you want more health. You want more mana on all your gear, because you're going to pay mana as well as life with all your spells. And you can also grab on the amulet +1 to projectiles. I threw on Exalt on this one to get cast speed, also on this one with a lucky roll. For the headpiece, you can grab critical hit chance, resistances, life. For the body armor, I specifically have chosen something with energy shield. Why? Because we have most of our stats in intelligence. We need it to level our spells. Without intelligence, you won't be able to level your fireball. It is really important also to note that the Bloodmage will later want an energy shield body armor to convert that energy shield or get another set of life from that energy shield. So if you have 600 energy shield, you still have that energy shield, but you additionally get 600 life because of a node which I will show you right now. This node, Crimson Power, will allow you to get this. So you will have a sizable health pool once you get your 4th Ascendancy later. On the belt, maximum life and resistances. And don't forget, Stun Charm, Freeze Charm. Really important to not lose control of your character. Uniques that you want to have an eye on constantly. It's going to be the Seed of Cataclysm, Snake Pit, and Defiance of Destiny. The Wrath Pit unique will most likely not be available at all to you. It also requires a higher level, but those 3 you can also pick up already. Level 32, level 1, level 8. So if you find one for 1 Exalt, buy it. Grab it as soon as possible. It's a great addition to the build and will boost your power considerably. They're not required. They're just really, really good. Now for the rest of the skill tree, Firebolt is your, oh, I don't have any mana and no mana potions. Will never happen, but sometimes you have your Firebolt. You can also use your Firebolt to fish for living bomb proc, so you get your infusion, and then you can use your Fireball with those infusions and not waste the Unleash. Here we have considered casting, Withering Touch, and also Unleash. Because if we have Unleash with a ton of damage here, we get a ton of procs of Withering Touch, so we can stack up our Wither with this one a little bit faster. It's basically a nuke button. Then we have Withering Presence, no additions here. Siphon Element with Harmonic Remnant and Remnant Potency. Same here for Life Remnant, and Solar Orb we don't use anymore. Now, for the tree, I will go full screen. There is a few very interesting additions here. The first one is going to be efficient casting. You want to lower the mana cost of your spells. You're going to thank me later. You will go constantly Ohm. You also want to pick up at least 1 point here, mana on kill. If you're still struggling for mana, go for 2, maybe even 3. Because it's going to be rough if you have too many levels and not enough mana pool to spam your spells. You're going to go Ohm, and that's not good. We also transitioned to crit, so we pick up those nodes here, Sudden Escalation. We pick up Critical Exploit for the Juggler and True Strike. We also get 4 more nodes in the weapon swap, so the Fireball benefits greatly from the chance to fire 2 additional projectiles. Those can proc on multiple unleashes, and then you will see a ton of projectiles and a ton of damage. This is a nice addition to the build. Here, up here, you also have 18% here. We are currently pathing to this one. So we get to this node, have 3 points left here, 1 point left here. So 4 weapon swap points. We path to this one here, and we have 4 points for the curse right here. So we can get a little bit of benefit here also for our curse. Those are not as important, but they are helping with preventing enemies from recharging energy shield with your curse, and they have reduced life regeneration. So also a good note here. Otherwise, we also have now 20% chance to not remove an elemental infusion, and with all the remnant support on our support skills, we generate an overflow of infusions. Not enough to always have them. But now the gameplay is very, very smooth. You're just living bomb, unleash. Living bomb, unleash. So constantly fireball firing. Once all of that is done, I am eyeing very specific clusters here. 60% crit damage bonus here. I want to fill out the tree with additional crit damage here. Additional crit chance here and here if I need it. But most important, here, crit chance. Once I path up here, I can also grab crit chance here and 2 times crit damage here. So that's also 30%. If I feel like I need a little bit more cast speed, I can grab this here. And I will later also swap to a shield and a one-hander because I want to prepare my wand, my main hand, for the Wrath shield that I will be equipping, the globe. Roughly it's the same as you can see here, but I will not swap those with the weapon. I'll grab additional pathing here through those nodes because those are 100% increased damage. But with Wrath Pit, you don't actually need that damage anymore. So it's more efficient to grab something else, maybe go down here. We won't be going for evasion right at the get-go because we don't have enough evasion on our build to really benefit from deflection. So it's mostly just here to grab those additional crit chance here and here. Most of your evasion will come from your headpiece and your gloves and so on, but they will take a lot of evasion or dexterity to equip. So it's mostly just better to drop those points, path through here, up here, and grab those through a lengthy track here, which we will use for intelligence, and then grab the energy recharge around the tree. So I will replan this planner and then also update this one. I just haven't gotten to this one yet because I wanted to get this one done. I have seen a lot of people complain in the other video that it's not matching the planner anymore, so I wanted to give you an update here. Anyway, this sums up the day 1 update on this one. Once I get to mapping and progress a little bit more, I will also update the build again with the uniques and what I'm going to plan next, because I do have a plan to possibly go no elements with a very specific helmet. However, this will take a little bit of experimentation. So, if you liked the video, please leave a comment, a like, and subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time, and bye.